Who was Sun Tzu? Sun Tzu is a legendary military strategist who revolutionized war and combat as we know it. Not much precise information is known about Sun Tzu, but he is most famously known for his book, The Art of War, a guide on how to successfully engage in conflict and battle. Sun Tzu was a Chinese general, leader, philosopher, and writer, whose military strategy goes beyond the battlefield and has implications in our daily life. Sun Tzu approached war from a psychological perspective, and a typical way to approach battle in ancient China. While originally ordained as a concise guide for the military in pre-modern times, Sun Tzu's The Art of War continues to be a bestseller and a household name for thousands worldwide. Its teachings have a particularly strong hold in business schools across the globe. Despite his military background, Sun Tzu claimed that the best way to win a battle was not through direct fighting. Departing from the typical violent strategies of pre-modern times, The Art of War makes claims that the best victories were possible without fighting. Tzu advocated that fighting should be the last option, not the first, and only done when absolutely necessary. However, when battle was necessary, it had to be well thought out. Because of his more logical and psychological approach to battle, Tzu's methodology can be useful in exploring all kinds of conflict in our lives. To this day, The Art of War, now published over 2,500 years ago, is one of the world's most famous military texts. It is 13 chapters long and a concise and well-organized guide on how to use strategy to defeat one's enemies. The book's advice departs from violence and gore. Instead, it focuses on how to battle strategically. Being strategic, according to Zhou, includes knowing which battles to pick, being effective with resource allocation, creating harmonious relationships between the government and civilians, and ensuring to pick suitable and capable leaders. As most of us are unlikely to be spending our time plotting physical battles with enemy nations, it is more useful to examine the ways in which Sun Tzu's teachings impact our day-to-day conflicts. Sun Tzu believed that finding the easiest way to win was the path to success, reminiscent of the popular phrase, "Work smarter, not harder." The easiest way to win, according to Tzu, included being strategic instead of using brute force, using knowledge as a weapon, and seizing small victories to help set yourself up for future success. Tzu was able to recognize that often, militaries mobilized through sheer force, believing that the best nation was the strongest nation. However, Tzu claimed that intelligent fighting was based on tactful decisions on when and how to fight. He suggested that good military leaders were ones that picked easy battles that they knew they could win. In Tzu's guide, psychological warfare matters more than physical force. Tzu's recommendation to pick easy battles can be applied to the way we handle our own inner conflicts. For example, imagine that you want to lose weight. Committing to an intense 12-week diet that is a drastic change from your current eating habits would represent the kind of all-force-ahead mentality that many leaders had. Such a strategy is not likely to succeed, and when we inevitably fail, we blame it on the fact that we didn't have enough willpower instead of realizing that we didn't take the best strategic course for our goals. Instead of powering through with force, we should pick easy battles that we can succeed at. We can create good habits by taking the battle one piece at a time, such as deciding to cut out one unhealthy thing each week, like chips or soda. Part of Tzu's advice for picking easy battles was to ensure that you have advantageous conditions. For war, this meant advantageous terrain or good weather conditions. But Tzu's strategies can act as a mirror for creating our own strategies to overcome our biases when it comes to our behavior. Since we are not purely rational thinkers, we can use Tzu's advice to set ourselves up in more favorable conditions so as not to fall victim to our human desires. When it comes to losing weight, this might mean not going out for dinner with friends or not planning to start a diet while on holiday. To ensure victory, we should set ourselves up in the most favorable position, as this is more important than how strong we are. Embedded in the idea of only engaging in battles that you can win comes the idea of wisely choosing our battles. Zhou writes in The Art of War that there is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. 4. Similarly to how we need to pick the right time and way to fight, we also need to know which battles aren't worth fighting. Some fights will only lead to failure, and Zhou suggested that these should be avoided at all costs. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu tries to guide us away from making rash emotional decisions by emphasizing the importance of knowledge. When preparing for a battle, Zhou suggested that leaders gained as much knowledge as possible. This knowledge encompassed factors like terrain and weather, as well as their own and their enemy's military strengths and weaknesses. Leaders should consider everything that could affect the outcome of the battle and assess the best course of action in lieu of all the possibilities. Few details are known about Sun Tzu's life outside of his revolutionary and influential book, The Art of War. His name Sun Tzu literally translates to Master Sun. He is believed to have been born in China's Chengchu period, translated into the spring and autumn period, between 771 and 476 BC9. During this period, many nations were fighting and competing for supremacy. It is believed that Sun Tzu was from an aristocratic military family due to his literary prowess. Before taking a position as an advisor to King Helu of Wu, Sun Tzu is likely to have worked as a mercenary, a soldier hired to work in a foreign nation. Tzu is thought to have written The Art of War during this time, between 470 and 220 BC. During this time, China was experiencing many socio-political upheavals, with small kingdoms battling one another in an attempt to expand their domain. As Sun Tzu was alive a long time ago, most of what we know about him comes from his guide, The Art of War. It was based on 5 main principles about winning. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. 4. Despite being a guide on military strategy, Sun Tzu actually approached battle with far less violence than many of his counterparts. He understood the importance of harmony within a nation. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley.